In a city where riots roared and accusations flew like arrows, one man dared to open his door, not just to visitors, but to a revolution. His name was Jason, and his home became the spark that lit the fire of the gospel in Europe. Jason wasn't a preacher or a prophet. He didn't write epistles or perform miracles. He was something far rarer, a believer with bold hospitality, a man willing to risk everything for the kingdom of God. His story begins in the city of Thessalonica, a bustling trade center in Macedonia, where philosophies collided and tempers burned hot. Into this city walked Paul and Silas, bringing with them a message that turned worlds upside down, the news of a crucified Messiah, risen from the dead, offering salvation not just to Jews, but to Gentiles. They preached in the synagogue for 3 weeks, and the word began to spread. Some believed. Many doubted. And the leaders of the synagogue grew angry, furious at this disturbance, this blasphemy, this new movement that threatened their influence. And in the middle of it all stood Jason. A man of Jewish heritage, he had become a believer in Jesus the Messiah. And when Paul and Silas arrived, Jason didn't hesitate. He welcomed them into his home, gave them shelter, food, and support. But his open door would soon become a battleground. The enemies of the gospel stirred up a mob, wild men from the marketplace, shouting and raging. They stormed through the streets, heading for Jason's house. They wanted Paul and Silas, but when they didn't find them, they dragged Jason instead, hauling him before the city authorities like a criminal. Standing in the public square, with dust on his clothes and fire in his eyes, Jason was accused of harboring men who had turned the world upside down. What an accusation! What a compliment! He stood accused not of violence, but of hospitality to the truth. He had opened his home to those preaching the gospel, and for that, he was threatened, fined, and humiliated. But Jason didn't recant. He didn't betray Paul. He didn't deny Christ. He paid the security bond, took the blows of shame, and kept the fire burning. His house may have been stormed. His name may have been scorned. But his faith? Unshaken. Some traditions say Jason continued to walk with Paul in ministry. Others go even further, saying Jason went on to become a missionary in the island of Corfu, modern-day Greece, where he preached, baptized, and eventually built a church. Legend has it that Jason, alongside Sosipater, was once again imprisoned for his faith. And in that prison, they met 7 young men, sons of a local ruler, who believed their message and were baptized on the spot. The ruler, in rage, executed his own sons and tortured Jason and Sosipater. But they survived, escaped, and continued preaching. According to these stories, Jason lived out his life faithfully in Corfu, becoming a bishop, establishing churches, and leading many to Christ. His legacy, though barely whispered in the Bible, echoed across regions. Jason's story may begin with a mob, but it ends with a movement. A man who turned his home into a holy place. Who stood between rage and righteousness. Who paid the price for protecting the messengers of God. Who believed when believing could get you killed. Jason's life reminds us that sometimes, courage looks like a quiet yes, a door unlocked, a meal served, a place made ready for the gospel to move. He is the kind of disciple who didn't need a spotlight. Just a heart wide open. And that kind of faith? It still turns the world upside down.